advocacy. I'm sad.
That is true. So you've kind of given it away. I guess all three of us gave it away, but our winner's interview is going to be with SNEYKING. He is going to be joining us here, and we get to know if he was listening in. Snake, congratulations. Were you listening in then on who we gave the MVP to?
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for the MVP. I was very happy to hear that.
Very well deserved. I do want to ask though, you guys came 5th, 6th at the major. I know that you were hanging around and some of the other boys were hanging around watching the major. Do you think there was a lot that you guys learnt from watching those games, and were you immediately jumping into prep for the DPC, or did you have a sort of a down buffer period between the major and between now?
We had a little bit of down period for a couple of days where everyone went home and just kind of did whatever they want to do just to relax, because the season is very long and the downtime is very short. So we have to take the little time that we have to reset. And then as for your question for during the tournament, I think most people just took it easy, but I and AUI were kind of still playing pubs, and even after elimination and watching replays of the Liquid and Gladiator, obviously trying to learn what they were doing well. And I think I had a better understanding of the patch after watching how they played in the grand finals, and I came to some theory and I presented it to the team, and I think we have a much better understanding of how this patch is played now.
Okay, that's awesome to hear. Do you want to share any extra bits about that sort of insight that you got for this patch? Just small things that you're willing to give up, because I know that there was also that small 7.33C that also happened as well with the universal change.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think one thing for sure is like universal heroes scaling is pretty insane. Even though like most universal heroes got like damaged nerfs, but after you get a couple levels or you buy a couple of branches and circle it in the starting laning stage, you hit very hard and you scale really hard. So I think this is something more and more teams will look into. I mean, we've already been seeing like the Rune Ranger, Pangolier mids and more. And I think it's just, we saw Stormstormer Visage earlier. Like these heroes just scale super hard, and and they just get too much damage. You know, it's hard to last hit, and if you can't last hit, it's hard to play Dota.
Yeah, very true. For this series as well, we saw some pretty consistent bans for both Coddle and Doom. In your eyes, do you think there is hopefully a change for them, or do you still think that maybe they're not as OP? It's more just the fact that you were coming up against OG and you guys are such a Doom team that's why there was a lot of emphasis placed on that hero?
I think coming into this series, but neither teams really had like exactly the best idea of what the other team is valuing, because there's not much of a match history between us. This is our first series, and it's on a new patch. So we mostly just kind of went with the on the fly and see how what we were struggling against, what the OG was playing, and then we just adjusted accordingly. And I think kind of similar thing happened for them. They'd probably just ban Coddle Doom because it's some of our comfort heroes, and they don't really know what else we've been practicing.
Okay. You guys made some great adjustments. T, if you have any questions you want to throw Sney's way?
Okay, yeah. All right, so, question. Of course, it's now Tour 3 of DPC. You're, American player in a European team. Have you had much time to be able to actually go back home and spend time with family? Because I always see you boot camping and like you're in your own little boot camp type stuff in Europe. Obviously, maybe not with the team, but you're always kind of based around Europe. Have you been here pretty much the entire time, or like what's the kind of the personal side of you looking?
Yeah, it's been pretty rough. I'm still boot camping, and I haven't been home since the beginning of Tour 2, which was in beginning of March, and I don't. Originally, I wasn't gonna get a chance to go home until the beginning of August, because we are gonna have Dream League Season 20 right after the DPC, and then after Dream League Season 20, the major starts. There's just little to no downtime in this schedule. It's pretty insane. And then after that, the major, there'll be the Riot Masters, and then only after then, if you don't qualify to TI, there'll be TI qualifiers starting in beginning of August. So hopefully we don't have to play that. But in the event that if I were have to play that, then I wouldn't get to go home until August 15th. But I think fortunately, we did so well in the first season, I guess season 19 of Dream League, that we don't need that great of a placement for the Riot Masters to get a direct play in. So I'm going to get a chance to play from home and just kind of reset and relax.
Sure. And would you say that the extended time away from home, does it affect you like kind of negatively, or are you able to now, obviously you've been a pro for so long that you kind of got like a thick skin to kind of having to travel for your work? Like how are you kind of coping in that regard?
Obviously, it definitely plays a negative aspect in my life, in that I don't really get to spend time with family and friends. I'm also boot camping by myself, I guess, the past 2 months now, every time it's happened, this past 2 tours, because we've recognized that like it's the season's so long, and if we were to boot camp for every single online DPC and play the major, like you'll pretty much never be able to spend time at home. But fortunately for them, most of them are European, so they can play on pretty low ping still from home. Whereas for me as an American, it's very hard to play from home when you're on 100 ping and trying to compete against some of the best in the world. It's just too big of a disadvantage. With TI being around the corner and being that important, and us not clutching enough points yet, so I still want to make the best of it, and it's just a sacrifice I have to make to try to qualify for next TI. It's a struggle.
Of course. Thank you for the honest answers. Thank you.
Hey, Sney. You said you've been on the grind. According to my numbers here, you've played about 48 matches in the last 8 days. So kudos, first off. I wanted to know, are there any players that you've played with that, like, let's say non-pros, that maybe you want to like shout out, or anything up-and-comers you've been playing with a lot in all these grinding games that you're just like, man, this player's really good?
Yeah, I think the CIS team, all of the Namiga players are kind of underrated. Most of them are pretty high rank, and they're actually pretty decent players in team. They're currently just got promoted to Division 1, and I think they're a team to look out for. I think they can definitely cause some harm against some of these like well-known, established Tier 1 CIS teams.
Oh, okay. I like that. Thank you. I won't ask you who you don't like playing with.
I was waiting for that one.
That's probably not great. Do you often queue with your teammates? I know there's this whole system going on now with the new party thing, so I guess you can't really queue together. But like when you guys get into a game together, will you like immediately like hop on a call, or do you guys just kind of like do your own solo thing, just as if it was anyone else on your team?
For the most part, we would just treat it as a normal pub. Obviously, we would prioritize picking our teammate if we were the ones drafting, which oftentimes or not, we like me or Skitter would be drafting, because currently we're the highest on the team. Sox is just he would be the highest if he didn't recalibrate, but he's too high MMRs for his queue time, so he just decides to recalibrate and lose 4 or 5k MMR casually. Just a player.
Smart. I like this. All right. I mean, I see that 4 hours ago you lost with Skitter. Can you tell me about this game? You were playing Techies. He was playing Medusa. How did you manage to lose a game with Skitter Medusa in a pub as 2 professional players versus 2 Namiga players? Now I see what's happening here. Okay.
You see what's happening? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The Nima players are just too good. But jokes aside, I think that game was... So some rough things happened, and then I didn't respond well to the enemy tri-laning our offlane, and then after, in standard pub fashions, after your offlane duel has died a couple times, they're ready to give up and just run it down, and that's what ended up happening after a couple minutes, and I was like, holy crap, the game is falling apart, and by the minute 5, the game was already looking kind of over. It was kind of rough.
So what you're saying is the trench never ends. That's what I'm hearing. So perfect.
It never
Thank
ends
you very much.
anywhere. And even at the very top, people are dropping items, destroying them, as we all well know. Go Throne. We all heard this saying many times on YouTube clips, and I think there was a team today. Well-known player, maybe a 2-time major winner that often is like been well known for the open throne. Ken N.
Yeah. Well, look, luckily your teammates didn't do that one in this series. Congratulations again, Sney, on the opening win against OG, and hopefully bootcamp treats you well. Also enjoying the fresh new haircut that you got. I can see that one. So enjoy the next few weeks of DPC.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for supporting us and watching the games today.
Oh, bless. Thank you so much, Sney. I reckon next time when we do our final series, we should